300 million people on medication for years and still suffering.
Everything you have been taught to be depression may actually be trauma. Here's the question almost no one asks. What if you feel depressed? What if life feels heavy, empty, or hopeless, but the problem isn't actual depression? What if the real issue is unresolved trauma, and every doctor, every therapist, every well-meaning person in your life has been treating the symptoms instead of the cause? This isn't about blame. This is about truth that's been buried under decades of pharmaceutical marketing and outdated psychiatry. By the end of this video, you're going to understand three things: why the treatments haven't worked, what trauma is doing to your nervous system, and the path forward. Practices you can start today and therapies that heal. You're not defective. You're wounded, and wounds can heal. So let's address what has been taught and widely accepted as truth. Have you been sold a lie? Let's start with the foundation of the lie, the chemical imbalance theory. For decades, you've been told that depression is caused by low serotonin, that your brain doesn't produce enough of the happy chemical, so you need medication to fix it. Here's the problem. In 2022, a comprehensive review led by Dr. Joanna Moncrief at University College London analyzed decades of research and concluded there is no evidence, none, that depression is caused by a serotonin imbalance. Dr. Ronald Pies, editor-in-chief of Psychiatric Times, admitted in 2011 that the chemical imbalance theory was always a metaphor, never established science. He called it an urban legend that psychiatry never endorsed. Even though patients were told this for 30 years, that story made pharmaceutical companies over $15 billion a year in antidepressant sales alone. So it stuck. You weren't given medicine to fix a proven chemical problem. You were given medicine based on a guess that turned into a profitable myth. Psychiatry took normal human responses to trauma and abuse and pathologized them, turned them into diseases. If you grew up in a chaotic household where you're constantly walking on eggshells, your nervous system learns to stay in hypervigilance. That's not a disorder. That's adaptation. That's survival. But psychiatry looked at that exhausted, shut-down adult and said, "You have major depressive disorder." Trauma specialist Dr. Gabor Mate puts it this way: the question isn't, what's wrong with you? It's, what happened to you? Pathologizing the trauma response undermines the healing process and promotes misunderstanding instead of empathy. This leads to ineffective treatment strategies, rather than addressing a survivor's natural emotion. If trauma is the problem, the solution is therapy, community support, nervous system healing, things that take time and can't be patented. But if you have a chemical imbalance, that requires a long-term prescription, something big pharma can monetize. The global antidepressant market is worth over $18 billion annually. In the US alone, 1 in 8 adults is on an antidepressant. There is no financial incentive to heal you. There's only an incentive to manage you. Conspiracy theories are not the goal. The goal is a perspective shift to consider alternatives and potential solutions. Here's another brutal truth. When multiple medication attempts don't work, and for many it produces minimal or zero results, the system doesn't question the diagnosis. It questions you. Now you are labeled as treatment resistant, as if your body is failing the medicine instead of the medicine failing you. The model isn't designed to heal trauma. It's designed to create lifelong customers. Consider this analogy. You take your car to a mechanic because it won't start, and they replace the windshield wipers 4 times, and it still won't start. You don't have a treatment-resistant car. You have a mechanic who's addressing the wrong thing. Most people are not resistant. The model is. Here's the real tell. Depression rates aren't going down. They're exploding. So what does the system blame? Social media, smartphones, modern stress, economic instability, loneliness. Notice something? Those are all environmental, situational, external circumstances causing internal pain. In other words, trauma. But instead of treating the environmental causes, the isolation, the instability, the chronic stress, they're still prescribing pills for a chemical imbalance. You can't medicate your way out of a trauma epidemic. Pay attention. If medication has improved your life, stick with it. The goal is ultimately to feel better and have a joyful existence. Often, meds can provide a jumpstart to a chronic issue of stress that has developed into depression, and the chemical systems of the brain are not firing properly. This is an important step when things have not gone well for a long time. This is not a call to action to stop medication. Never stop cold turkey. Abruptly stopping antidepressants can cause severe withdrawal, dangerous psychological effects, and worsening symptoms. This must be done carefully, with medical supervision. This isn't about demonizing medication. This information is to encourage autonomy and self-advocating if improvement still feels out of reach. The Trauma Reframe. Most people think trauma means car accidents, combat, abuse, assault, the big obvious events. But according to Dr. Gabor Mate, trauma isn't just what happens to you. It's what happens inside you as a result of what happens to you, especially in the absence of an empathetic witness. Plenty of experiences can cause trauma that aren't as dramatic in the moment. They are persistent and chronic. A parent who was physically there but emotionally absent. Growing up with a narcissistic parent who gaslighted you into doubting your own reality. Being a kid with ADHD who was constantly told you were lazy, difficult, or not trying hard enough. Being bullied and never receiving validation for the pain, living in chronic financial instability, being marginalized or discriminated against every day. These aren't big T traumas, but they shape your nervous system just the same. If your environment taught you that the world is unsafe, that people can't be trusted, that your needs don't matter, your body absorbed that belief system and is still living in that reality. How trauma rewires the nervous system. What is happening in the body when you feel depressed? Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, author of The Body Keeps the Score, showed us that trauma isn't just a memory, it's stored in your nervous system, in your muscles, in your autonomic responses. When you experience trauma, especially chronic developmental trauma, your nervous system can get stuck in survival mode. Your body is constantly scanning for threats, even when there are none. It's called hypervigilance, or the opposite happens, the freeze response. Your system shuts down entirely to protect you from overwhelm. Dr. Joe Dispenza's research takes this further. He's shown that your body can become conditioned to the stress hormones and emotional states created by trauma. Your nervous system literally learns to expect danger and begins to search for it. Why trauma gets misdiagnosed as depression. Here's a perspective shift. What if those depression symptoms are really your nervous system replaying trauma responses? The nervous system, trapped in survival mode, creates the symptoms psychiatry names as major depressive disorder. But these are your body signaling unprocessed trauma, not a chemical flaw. Check it out. Fatigue and low energy? Is that a chemical imbalance? Or is it nervous system exhaustion? Your body burning through energy in chronic threat mode until it eventually crashes. Anhedonia, the inability to feel pleasure? Is it a serotonin deficiency? Or is it protective emotional numbing? Your nervous system shutting down all feeling because feeling anything means feeling pain. Social withdrawal and isolation? Is that antisocial behavior? Or is it your nervous system concluding that connection is unsafe because people have hurt or abandoned you? Brain fog and difficulty concentrating? Is that cognitive dysfunction? Or is it your prefrontal cortex going offline because the amygdala, the fear center, is running the show? Sleep problems, insomnia, or oversleeping? Is that a sleep disorder? A hypervigilant nervous system that won't let you rest? Or a freeze response where sleep becomes escape? Feeling worthless or like a burden? Is that low self-esteem? Or is it internalized shame from environments that taught you your needs were too much, your feelings were wrong, or your existence was conditional? Feeling numb or disconnected from yourself? Is that existential emptiness? Or is it dissociation, your mind protecting you by disconnecting from a body that holds too much pain? What if every single one of these symptoms is your body trying to protect you from a threat it thinks is still happening? You're not broken, you're stuck. The identity shift, from defective to injured. Here's why the reframe changes everything. Believing there is a chemical imbalance, a brain defect, optimism is crushed, and the sense of feeling flawed becomes the reality. But trauma? Trauma is an injury, not a defect, and injuries can be healed. Yes, there are chemical changes happening in the brain, stress hormones, neurotransmitter disruptions, nervous system dysregulation. The real questions? Are these chemical changes the cause or the effect? Is this a brain that needs to be chemically corrected or a nervous system that can be repaired? Because if it's trauma, chemistry can rebalance once the trauma is processed. And if you're willing to stay with this, there are real solutions that work. Professional assisted healing. So if the problem is trauma, not a chemical imbalance, then the solution has to be different too. Trauma healing requires approaches that work with your nervous system, not just your thoughts. Your body holds the memory. Your cells remember what happened. And healing happens when you give your nervous system the experience of safety, through sensation, through regulation, through practices that communicate directly with your body. So what actually works? There are two paths forward. Let's start with the professional interventions that have the strongest research behind them. EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. When trauma happens, the memory gets stored in your brain in a way that keeps triggering your nervous system as if the threat is still happening. EMDR uses bilateral stimulation, moving your eyes back and forth while recalling the traumatic memory to help your brain reprocess that memory so it becomes just a memory, not a current threat. It breaks the connection between the memory and your body's fear response. The trauma happened, but your body learns it's not happening now. Trauma-informed talk therapy. Traditional therapy can work when it's combined with body awareness. This means a therapist who understands that trauma lives in your nervous system, not just your thoughts, and who integrates somatic technique, tracking sensations, grounding exercises, breath work, into the conversation. It's not about endlessly analyzing. It's about creating felt safety in your body while processing what happened. Neurofeedback. This uses real-time monitoring of your brain activity to train your brain to self-regulate. Sensors measure your brain waves, and through visual or audio feedback, you learn to shift your brain into healthier patterns. It's expensive and not always accessible, but for people with complex trauma or treatment-resistant symptoms, it can retrain the brain at a neurological level. Reiki. This is an energy healing practice that works on the premise that trauma gets stored in your body as blocked or stagnant energy. Reiki practitioners use gentle touch or hands held just above the body to help release these energetic blockages. The goal is to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest mode, so your body can finally relax and process what it's been holding. People often describe feeling lighter, calmer, and more emotionally clear after sessions. The emotion code and body code. Developed by Dr. Bradley Nelson, these techniques identify and release trapped emotions, specific negative energies stored in your body from past trauma. Using muscle testing to communicate with your subconscious, practitioners Practitioners identify which emotions are trapped and where, then release them using magnetic energy along your body's meridians. The body code expands this to address 6 categories of imbalance: energy, circuits and systems, toxins, nutrition, structural misalignments, and pathogens. It's designed to guide your body to release these trapped emotions where the trauma is stuck. If you can access a trauma-informed therapist or practitioner trained in any of these modalities, that's your best bet for deep, lasting healing. Self-directed healing. You don't have to wait for a therapist to start healing. Here are practices you can begin today on your own that work directly with your nervous system. Breathwork. Your breath is the fastest way to tell your nervous system it's safe. Here's a simple technique you can do right now. 4-7-8 breathing. Breathe in through your nose for 4 counts. Hold your breath for 7 counts. Exhale slowly through your mouth for 8 counts. Repeat this 4 times. The long exhale activates your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest mode, and signals to your body that it's safe. Do this when you feel overwhelmed, before sleep, or first thing in the morning. You can also explore box breathing, Wim Hof method, or other breathwork techniques. Meditation and body scan. You don't need to clear your mind. You just need to notice what's in your body without running from it. Sit quietly, close your eyes, start at the top of your head, and slowly move your attention down your face, your shoulders, your chest, your stomach, your legs, your feet. Notice any tension, tightness, or numbness. When you find it, don't try to fix it. Breathe deeply into that area. Imagine your breath flowing directly to the tension. Then, exhale slowly, imagining the tightness releasing with your breath. Repeat until you feel the area soften or give. Then, continue moving down through your body. Do this for 5 to 10 minutes daily. Free guided body scans are available on YouTube and apps like Insight Timer. Movement and body practices. Trauma gets trapped in your body, and movement helps release it. This doesn't mean high-intensity workouts. It means intuitive, gentle movement. Try this. Stand up, close your eyes, and shake your whole body for 60 seconds. Start with your hands, then your arms, shoulders, torso, hips, legs. Let your body move however it wants to move. This is called somatic shaking, and it's how animals discharge stress after escaping danger. Your body knows how to release trauma. You just have to give it permission. You can also explore yoga, qigong, tai chi, or dancing freely in your living room. One practice that can be surprisingly powerful, playing a guided meditation like Wayne Dyer's sleep meditations every night as you drift off. Fair warning, if your nervous system is used to threat and negativity, hearing continuous positive messages can feel uncomfortable at first. Your body might resist it. You might find it harder to fall asleep initially because your system is trying to process this unfamiliar safety. That's normal. Stay with it. Over time, it becomes a peaceful bridge to sleep, and your nervous system begins to rewire itself. Science tells us neurons that fire together, wire together. So why not wire them for good? The path forward. If you're taking meds, you may be wondering where you land in all of this. Some people require medication, and many people have never been given the opportunity to assess if their trauma is the actual problem. Here's a strategic approach to explore the path forward. First, the non-negotiable. Do not stop your medication without medical supervision. Cold turkey is dangerous. Second, the timing. If you just started or changed medication in the last 4 to 6 weeks, let it stabilize before adding trauma work. Otherwise, you'll never know what's actually helping. Third, the experiment. If you are not on meds or have been stable on the same dose for months or years, start the trauma work now. Choose one practice at a time that you can sustain over a period of 3 days, then 7, then 2 weeks. Journal subtle changes in emotional engagement, energy levels, appetite, sex life, and the areas where you feel the depression is affecting your life the most. Document the shifts and celebrate every small win. Better sleep, less numbness, fewer intrusive thoughts. Be gentle with yourself as things arise and exit the body. Pay attention to yourself. When you start the work, you may feel the heaviness seeping through the cracks. Remind your cells and your body that what you are feeling is the past. Watch it pass by and give gratitude for its passing. Good riddance. Consult a friend, coach, or counselor if the feeling gets too heavy. Take it slow. You will build momentum. A lifetime of holding on to trauma doesn't wash away in a week, but recognizing improvements can happen very quickly. Fourth, the conversation around meds. When you're feeling a little more vibrant and your confidence is returning, it might be time to talk to your doctor about the work you're doing and see if you're ready to adjust your dosage. Some doctors will understand. Others will resist because their training says medication is forever. If they're resistant, find a trauma-informed provider and get a second opinion. Fifth, find your strategy. Feeling good? Up the trauma work. Feeling unsteady? Slow it down. What's your med profile? Adjust accordingly. If you find it's the combination that's producing the most relief, stick with it and follow your results. You deserve to solve the mystery of feeling better. It's time to remove the mask. Educate yourself on the teachings of specialists in the trauma field and see what resonates. You deserve to live as the best version of you. You are not broken. You are whole and you are beautiful.